All right, so this is something that I really want to talk about because I feel like there's so many traders who struggle with this, and I'll be honest, I definitely fall victim to this all the time too. So we all know there are so many trading strategies out there, like way too many. Every single day you're on social media, you go on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube, and you see these traders who are all trading different strategies. Some are trading ICT concepts, ICC, supply and demand, break and retest, like scalping, swing trading. There's just so many things out there. And most of them work. And you're just sitting there thinking, like, okay, so what am I supposed to do? Like, what strategy is going to make me profitable? What strategy is going to work out for me? Everyone wants to know what strategy they have to pick and focus on to be successful, right? But the truth is, there's not just one that works. Like, there's many, many strategies that work. And you have to pick it based on your lifestyle, your routine, your patience level too. Like, do you want to be holding trades for 5 minutes, or are you okay holding them for hours or days? It's so easy to fall victim to strategy hopping or looking at multiple strategies. And I get it because I do it too. Now, there is good to looking at other strategies. You should know what's out there and you should explore to see what fits your personality, your routine, or your patience level best. But where it becomes dangerous is when you're on this cycle of constantly trying to find the next best thing. It's this rabbit hole that once you go down, guys, it's really hard to get back out of it. Because let's be real, there's always going to be another strategy. There's always going to be someone making money faster than you. And there's always going to be a video out there that makes you question everything you've been doing and everything you've been putting your time into. If you followed along on my journey, you know that I started with TGR's bootcamp and I was trading his strategy for around 10 months before switching to ICC. Now, the strategy was not working out for me very well, but I've seen so many places where people were like, you can't just switch strategies. Like, you need to stick with one and pick one and stick with it. And to me, I thought that meant, okay, like, even if it's not working, I'm going to stick with it and stick with it until it works. That is not the case. I know some people say that, but it gets to a point where you have to know what's best for you. And if something's not working, you can't force it to work. It's not that the strategy's bad. It's not that it doesn't work, but it wasn't working for me. And so that's when I decided to make the switch to ICC. And instantly, I already found that it was working out way better for me. Simpler strategy, works better with my routine, my schedule, everything like that. But does that mean that ICC is the last thing that I'm going to trade? No. Like, there's I might switch later on. I don't know. Um, ICC is more so like a swing style, right? So I'm looking at the 1 and the 4 hour for these setups to form, meaning it does take longer for setups to form. Right now, is that work for me? Yeah, that works for my schedule. That's great. But maybe in a couple months, I might be looking for something that is more so like in and out of trades, like not holding them for long, just in and out. And, even today I came across someone trading supply and demand. It really intrigued me because she made a bunch of money in 5 minutes, just a simple trade in and out. And she made her money for the day. That obviously sounds amazing. The thing that I do when I see a strategy I think might work is, I spend like 5 minutes looking at the strategy. I'll hop on my back testing platform and back test it a few times. Most of the times it doesn't work out because, again, I only spent like 5 minutes learning the strategy. But when it does work out, that's obviously when I'm intrigued by that. And maybe I'll go in, look into it a little more, see what else I can learn from it if that's something that I do want to trade. But the difference between quickly, testing out a strategy on back testing for a couple minutes, or actually spending hours and days studying a new strategy, that is where like there's a fine line, right? Like, testing other strategies, like, that's great. You want to know what's out there. The more knowledge you have, the better. But you don't want to complicate it, right? Because if you start learning a bunch of strategies, you might be inclined to try to add the concepts into the strategy you trade now, and that could be very bad. So make sure you're not doing that. But if you're able to keep them separate, perfect. Try some out, see what you like. And the difference is spending a couple minutes, or like I said, spending a couple days to weeks. You have to think about it. The time invested in looking at other strategies, if all that time was invested into the strategy that you trade now, would you be profitable already? Right? Like, maybe you would have learned from your mistakes and you would have had a higher win rate if you just put all that time into the strategy that you're currently trading. Because this part right here, this is where traders get trapped, especially new traders. They get trapped they get caught up in trying to find the next best thing, looking at all the strategies, because obviously you're new to trading, you don't have the knowledge to know what strategy is better than what, and most of the times there's not one that's better than the other. Like they all have their distinctive characteristics. And a way I like to think about it is like working out, okay? So there's weightlifting, Pilates, cardio, yoga, CrossFit, different things like that. They all work for getting in shape, but they work different ways, and they're going to help you to achieve different goals, different body goals. And so it doesn't mean that only one works. And if you only spend 2 weeks doing Pilates, you're not going to have abs and be snatched, right? So maybe you spend 2 weeks and you're like, oh, this isn't working. I'm going to go lift weights. Then you lift weights to build muscle. You're not building muscle in 2 weeks, so you switch to cardio. Like there's a fine line between trying out different things to see what you like, but you also have to just spend time and be consistent on your strategy, like your workout routine. It's going to take time to be profitable and to see results. The other thing I noticed for myself is when I first look at a strategy and go to trade it, like after watching videos. So, say when I first learned ICC, I watch a couple of videos and I go to trade it and it works perfectly. And I'm like, wow, like this is amazing. It works perfectly for the first couple of days. But a couple weeks down the road, it will start not working. And then I question why, like, oh, the strategy doesn't work. Like, I need to switch a strategy. I need to find a new strategy. But the truth is, it's not the strategy. It's actually me. It's similar to like if you just got out of a lecture at school, right? You got taught all that information. You feel like you know it. Maybe you have a quiz the next day. You ace it. You're like, oh, this is great. I understand it. But a couple weeks down the road, you have an exam, right? You have a big exam, but you're like, hey, I know this. I know how to do it. I aced my quiz that first day. I'm good for this. I don't need to study. You don't study anymore. You take the exam and you fail it. You get like a 45%. That's because you still need to study. Like one lesson or one video is not going to help you to retain that information forever. The more you trade it, and if you write the rules down, yes, but if you're just basing it off of what you just learned, you can backtest it a couple times right after. I'm sure it will work out. But when you're actually in the real markets, you're going to forget, especially if you've done multiple strategies, you're going to get confused. So if you feel like that's happening, don't instantly go and try to change your strategy and find a new strategy. Go back to those first videos you watched to learn the strategy and rewatch them. Take more notes. And the more times you watch it, especially after you've traded the strategy a couple times, you're going to find out new information. Maybe there's questions that you had. Maybe you got stopped out and you wanted to know why. You go back and watch the video and everything starts to make sense. If you feel like at the beginning, when you first started trading the strategy you're trading, it was working perfectly and you feel like it's stopped working, my recommendation would be going back and watching the first video that you learned from, taking notes, going back to those beginner lessons, and it's probably all going to start clicking for you. Now, going back to branching out to other strategies, like I said, if you've put in the time and you've put in the effort, you went back and watched the beginner videos, and maybe the strategy really isn't working for you, or you just seen a new strategy online that it really intrigued you and you found interest in it, it's okay to go and explore those. But like I said, just be cautious about how much time you're spending researching and studying those strategies and how much time you're actually putting into the strategy that you trade. Okay, because ultimately what's going to work is discipline and consistency. So whatever strategy you put your time into and you dedicate to, I'm sure it's going to work out, because like I said, there's multiple strategies out there and they're all working for different people, but it just depends on what's going to work for you and for your schedule and your style of trading. So to wrap up, pick a strategy, give it time, study it consistently, and if it stops working for you or it's not working and you've given it some time, first look inward. So look into the strategy, go back to those beginner videos, watch them and see if there's anywhere where you're going wrong. Maybe you're marking out your charts wrong and it actually works, you're just marking out the wrong level. And if you do that and it's still not working, then maybe it's time to look outward and look at some other strategies. But just remember that there's always going to be a better strategy. There's always going to be someone out there making money faster than you. Don't compare yourself and your trading style to every single trader you see out there, because that is going to be an endless loop that I promise you guys you don't want to go down. If this video helped you, drop a comment and let me know what strategy you guys are currently trading and whether you've ever fallen into the strategy hopping rabbit hole. And I promise most of us probably have. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.